The night I first heard her whisper those words, the wind outside sounded like it was carrying secrets through the quiet neighborhood. It was nearly midnight in a small, aging suburb outside Columbus, Ohio, and the streetlights flickered over empty sidewalks and quiet lawns. I had just moved into the small brick house next door, surrounded by unpacked boxes and the strange loneliness that always follows a fresh start. I stepped onto my porch to breathe in the cool night air, thinking about the long road that had brought me here. That was when I noticed her. She was standing on her porch next door, wrapped in a faded gray sweater, staring at the dark street as if she was watching something only she could see. When our eyes briefly met across the quiet yard, she didn't smile. Instead, she lowered her voice and said something so soft I almost thought I imagined it. "No man ever stays." Her name was Clara Bennett, and in the weeks that followed, I would learn that those 4 quiet words carried the weight of an entire life. But before we continue, if you believe in kindness, healing, and the power of second chances, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the smallest acts of compassion can change a life forever. My name is Nathan Cole, and when I moved into that neighborhood, I wasn't looking for connection. I was looking for quiet. After a difficult divorce and a career shift that had drained every ounce of energy from me, I just wanted a place where no one knew my story. But life rarely gives us the peace we ask for. Instead, it gives us the people we need. Clara was hard to miss once you started noticing her. She lived alone in a small blue house that looked older than the rest on the street. The paint was peeling slightly, and the front garden seemed to grow wild in every direction, like nature had decided to take the place back. She wasn't old, but she carried herself like someone who had been tired for a very long time. For the first few days, we only exchanged polite nods when collecting mail or taking out the trash. She never lingered, never smiled long enough for it to reach her eyes. But there was something about her silence that felt heavy. One rainy afternoon, about 2 weeks after I moved in, I saw her struggling with a stack of wooden boards near her driveway. The rain had turned the ground into slick mud, and one of the boards slipped from her hands. Without thinking, I walked over and helped her steady the pile. She didn't thank me right away. Instead, she looked at me with a strange mix of curiosity and caution. Then she said the same thing again. "No man ever stays." She said it almost like a warning. I tried to laugh it off, assuming she meant relationships. People come and go all the time. That's just life. But Clara didn't laugh. Over the next few days, I began to notice things. Different cars sometimes parked in front of her house late at night. Not often, but often enough to leave questions. Men came and went quickly, never staying long enough to be seen in daylight. At first, I tried not to think about it. But one evening, as I was watering the dry grass in my yard, Clara slowly walked over. Her voice was quieter than usual. "People think they know why men leave," she said. Then she looked at me with tired eyes. "They don't." There was something fragile in the way she said it, like the words had been waiting years to escape. That night, Clara finally told me her story. She had grown up in that very house. Her father had built it himself decades earlier, hammer by hammer, believing it would be a place where family stayed forever. But life had other plans. Her father left when she was 12. Her first boyfriend left when she was 18. Her husband left 5 years after their wedding, and every relationship that followed ended the same way. Men didn't fight, they didn't argue, they simply disappeared. At first, she believed it was bad luck. Then she believed it was her fault. Then eventually, she stopped believing in anything at all. That was when the late-night visitors began. Not because she wanted them to stay, but because she already knew they wouldn't. She said it was easier that way. If you expect people to leave, their absence stops hurting. But as she spoke, I realized something deeper was happening. Clara had built emotional walls so high that no one could ever truly enter her life, and the few who tried eventually gave up. She had convinced herself the story was always the same. No man ever stays. Weeks passed and slowly something strange happened. I kept showing up, not in big dramatic ways, just small things, helping fix the loose railing on her porch, bringing over leftover barbecue one Sunday afternoon, clearing snow from her walkway during a sudden winter storm. At first, Clara seemed uncomfortable with the kindness, like it was something unfamiliar. But over time, she started talking more, laughing sometimes, even smiling in a way that didn't look forced. One evening near Christmas, she invited me inside her house for the first time. The place felt frozen in time. Old photographs covered the walls, showing a younger Clara with hopeful eyes. Her father smiling proudly beside the house he built. A wedding photo where she looked radiant in a white dress, but one frame caught my attention. It was empty, just a blank space where a photograph had once been. Clara noticed me looking. "That's where my husband's picture used to be," she said quietly. She didn't say anything else. She didn't have to. Over the following months, the late-night cars stopped appearing outside her house. The wild garden slowly began to look cared for again, and Clara started stepping out into the neighborhood more often. But healing is never a straight road. One night in early spring, I noticed Clara sitting alone on her porch again. The same gray sweater, the same distant stare. I walked over and sat beside her without saying anything. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered the same sentence she had said the night we met. "No man ever stays." But this time her voice trembled. Because for the first time she was afraid she might be wrong. And that possibility was terrifying. She had spent so many years protecting herself from disappointment that hope now felt dangerous. What if I left too? What if the pattern continued? I understood that fear more than she realized. But sometimes the only way to break a story is to live a different ending. So I kept showing up, day after day, month after month, through quiet mornings and long conversations, through moments when she pushed me away and moments when she let the walls fall. Eventually, something remarkable happened. Clara stopped saying those 4 words. She started planting flowers in the garden her father once built. She repainted the porch, and one warm summer evening, she placed a new photograph in the empty frame on the wall. Not of a husband, not of a past relationship, but of the 2 of us standing in the garden, covered in dirt and laughing like people who had finally learned that staying doesn't always mean romance. Sometimes it means friendship. Sometimes it means patience. Sometimes it means someone choosing not to disappear. And if this story has touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who might need a reminder that healing is possible, and subscribe for more stories that prove kindness still exists in this world. But before the story ends, I have a special request. Comment below with the word "stay" if you believe that sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is simply remain present in someone's life. Because the truth is, Clara didn't need a man who promised forever. She just needed someone who didn't leave when things became difficult. Someone who understood that broken people don't need perfect love. They need patient love. And on a quiet street outside Columbus, Ohio, the woman who once believed every man would disappear finally learned something different. Sometimes, someone stays.